The volatile recipe behind the Southern California summer fire outbreak. The trio of blazes, the bridge fire, line fire, and airport fire, burned more than 100,000 acres combined in a matter of days. The bridge fire erupted nearly a week ago and quickly charred over 50,000 acres, including Mountain High, a popular ski hill in Wrightwood, California, by Diana Leonard, September 14, 2024. Southern California's wildfires, which burned more than 100,000 acres combined in a matter of days, may have calmed late this week, but the risk has far from dissipated. The trio of blazes, the bridge fire, line fire, and airport fire, have burned dozens of structures and injured at least 16 people. Thousands of residents remain evacuated and thousands of structures are still threatened, while fire agencies work to gain containment and assess the damage. It was an outbreak fueled by a volatile combination of ingredients, a mix of terrain ripe for fires, record hot weather, and broader climate influences that have loaded the dice for more dangerous fires this fall. Despite much cooler weather in the forecast for the next week, the threat of fires will remain this fall until significant rain arrives. Steep terrain loaded with fuel. The bridge fire northeast of Los Angeles exploded Tuesday afternoon from about 4,000 acres earlier in the day to well over 30,000 acres in a matter of hours. It charged over the mountains through the Mountain High ski resort, destroying structures in nearby communities and threatening the desert town of Pinon Hills on the other side. As of Friday afternoon, the bridge fire had consumed more than 52,000 acres. The line fire more than 37,000, the airport fire more than 23,000. Other recent fires have scorched vast stretches of the Angeles National Forest, and even burned over the mountains to the desert floor, including the 2020 Bobcat fire that burned 115,000 acres. But what was different about the bridge fire was the time it took to get there, said Garrett Hazelton, a fire behavior analyst with the incident management team on the bridge fire. It's very unusual for fire to move that fast. What's more, the rugged canyons where the fire took off Tuesday afternoon have no recorded fire history, he said, largely because they are remote and inaccessible. That means a lot of fuel has built up over the years, including heavy growth from the past 2 wet winters along with flammable material from years-long droughts. Southern California's steep mountainous terrain, which can funnel winds and intensify fires, also makes it especially difficult to fight fires. We have such diverse topography down here and such extreme relief, said Glenn McDonald, a distinguished professor of geography at UCLA. And many of these areas are not serviced by roads despite the fact that we are within sight of Los Angeles. How weather drove the fires. Conditions through early September were about as worst-case a scenario as you can get, according to Jonathan O'Brien, a fire meteorologist with the Southern California Area Coordination Center in Riverside. After a wet winter, persistent hot weather this summer had been baking the moisture out of thick vegetation. A lack of monsoon thunderstorms left Southern California mountains drier than they should be this time of year. Add a long, extreme heat wave on top of that and it was a recipe for a very volatile and dangerous fire environment, he said. Then on Tuesday, winds arrived from the west, blowing about 25 to 40 miles per hour off the ocean. You can have a fire that's growing rapidly and is becoming intense just based off of the land alone, he said. If you add even a moderate amount of wind, it can really start to grow exponentially in size, and that's kind of what we saw on Tuesday. Time-lapse video captured on September 10th shows the airport fire burning through a wildfire monitoring station on Santiago Peak, California. Santa Ana wind season is coming. This week's fire outbreak, however, was not driven by Southern California's notorious Santa Ana winds, which can be much stronger, reaching up to 80 miles per hour or more, and drier. They tend to arrive in late September and strengthen through the fall and winter. Because they blow offshore from east to west, they often push fires toward much more populated areas in the valleys and toward the coast. Southern California will see well below normal temperatures at least through next week, as the jet stream dips further south than is normal this time of year, though no real rain is in the forecast yet. I think the weather that's coming in is going to be very helpful. But the crews will be very much cognizant of the fact that it is a high priority to get the fires completely out before the offshore winds come in, O'Brien said. A time-lapse video recorded on September 10th shows the line fire burn the hills east of San Bernardino, California. Hot and dry conditions like those seen in early September can increase a fire's size as well as its severity, McDonald said. And the state has seen a clear trend in area burned over the last several decades. There's no question that there's been a significant long-term trend of higher temperatures and drier air over California, particularly since 1980, he said. We're on a journey toward more and more days that are going to be prone to these kinds of fire events here in Southern California,